Let's talk about liens on a property. What are liens? What do they do? Why do you have to worry about them? Do you have to worry about them? Let's talk about that here. So first off, what is a lien? Let's say we have a house here. I'm going to draw a house and someone has taken out a loan or something on this house, like a mortgage loan, for example. Or better yet, let's use a different example that sometimes comes up and is often forgotten about until you get to the closing table. But let's say you have work done on the house and you're paying a contractor for it. So here are the house windows. They're very not symmetrical because I'm drawing this with a mouse. So anyways, we have this house here. You get work done on the house and you have a vendor come in, or a contractor comes in and does work on the house. You're supposed to pay that vendor. Let's just say you never pay them for some reason. And in the contract that you had with them, they had a right to put a lien on your house, a claim on your house for the balance of that work that was done. And that is quite common with a lot of contractor arrangements or where you're paying for someone to do work on the house. Oftentimes they have some sort of right like that. So that vendor has now attached a lien to the property. And let's just say that the work done was worth $10,000. It was a $10,000 job, so they have a debt that they're claiming of $10,000, and then attached to that debt effectively is this lien. So you have a lien in the amount of $10,000 that's attached to the house. Now, if you, the homeowner, want to go and sell this property, you're selling it with that lien on it, at least if it was to actually go through as is with all the claims and liens on it. But most buyers, and certainly most lenders, are going to want to make sure that that is cleared before it sells to a new person or before a new loan is brought in, because that lien is effectively a claim against whoever buys the property or whoever owns the property. And typically at the sale of a property, that'd be the time that liens are going to get cleared. That's often what the whole title process is about. A title company is going to look at all the liens and claims that are on a property, see which ones can be paid off right away, and they'll try to do that so that they can provide nice, clean title to the next person. That's what the whole process is during a sale. Most of it is a lot of this title work and clearing liens and different claims on the property. But this lien, if it's unpaid, it gives that lien holder a certain number of rights. One of those potentially is to actually foreclose on the property. So someone with this lien, if the debt is not being paid, if they're overdue on getting this payment done, they potentially can start a foreclosure action on the property. Even if the property is worth way above $10,000, maybe it's a $300,000 home, even if it's worth way above that, they can still potentially start a foreclosure action to try and collect this $10,000. It might not be worth it in their view because it's potentially expensive or time consuming to run a foreclosure auction. But anyways, that aside, they might choose to do a foreclosure auction, sell the property or force the sale of the property if this homeowner still doesn't want to pay the $10,000 for some reason. Then after the sale, it would extinguish this lien and would release the lien because the debt has been paid off. That's the idea at least. But we'll just say it doesn't actually sell, or we'll just say that there's no foreclosure action. Typically what would happen if there is an outstanding lien during a sale otherwise, where maybe this homeowner is trying to sell it, but they have this lien outstanding. At the closing of that sale, the closing proceeds will then go and pay off the lien without having to do a foreclosure action. It really just depends on timing and when all this stuff is happening. But that's what a lien is. It's a claim against the property. So it's important that you get those things cleared if you can, because you're effectively clouding the title of the property, or the title of the property is clouded by the lien. And the more liens that are there, the more claims you have to worry about. That goes for a buyer as well. Someone trying to buy this property, there are all these claims. They're going to want to see those cleared. Same with a lender. A lender is going to want to make sure that they are top of the food chain when it comes to all these other liens. They want to make sure they're the first position lien on the property. That's why you'll often hear the term first mortgage or second mortgage. It talks really about the seniority of all these liens against each other. Because if you have multiple liens, let's just say there are 2 vendor liens. You paid multiple contractors to get the work done, and maybe you have another one in the amount of $5,000. So you have 2 liens here. And depending on when they were filed, let's say this lien was filed in April, and then this next one was filed in May of the same year, then technically this more recent or this older one would be senior to the later one. Generally speaking, there are exceptions, and certain claims might get ahead of another one, but typically that's what's going to happen. They are the first priority, or they have priority over any later liens that come after them. That's typically how that's going to work. Again, there are exceptions, but so now these lien holders, if one of them, let's say the second lien holder wants to start a foreclosure action, then in that case, the first lien holder is typically going to have a right to assert their own claim against any foreclosure proceeds first. So that really comes into play a lot when there is a big mortgage that's being foreclosed on, and then you have a bunch of liens after that. Sometimes there just isn't enough money to go around to actually pay all these liens off in one fell swoop. So that's where kind of the priority stuff matters. In this case, if the home is worth $300,000 and there's only $15,000 in liens in a foreclosure or some other action to collect, then there's obviously going to be plenty of money to go around to pay off these liens. But in some cases, there isn't enough money. If there's a big old mortgage ahead of them, that might be problematic for these lien holders. But that doesn't mean that these lien holders might not be able to collect via some other way in the event that there isn't enough money to go around at a foreclosure sale. There might be what's called a deficiency judgment to allow them to collect against the owner's other assets. That's a potential route that sometimes happens in foreclosure proceedings. But anyways, that's what a lien is. That's what lien priority is, generally speaking. There are plenty of little nuanced rules that'll differ with each area, but that's why liens are important. That's why you should worry about liens, whether you're buying a property or whether you're selling a property. A lien is a claim against the property. And if you're trying to sell a clean title or buy a clean title, you want to make sure that those liens are paid off and released. And with that release of lien, some sort of payoff for the debt attached to the lien, whatever it is, just getting that cleared is going to make it much easier to sell things down the line, or to get a refinance, or to get a mortgage on the property. You're going to want to see a lot of these liens out of the way, especially if there's a threat of foreclosure, if the current owner has defaulted on their debts or other payments that need to make, to where the lien holders could come after the owner for the balance. But as always, every situation is different, and the circumstances can get pretty complicated depending on how many liens are involved, who has seniority over the other liens. It's not always about timing. Sometimes it's about the type of lien and whether it's a junior lien. And sometimes other lien holders can make deals for one another, or the lien holder might sell the lien to someone else rather than do the foreclosure action themselves. So it can definitely get confusing depending on the situation. But if you found this video helpful, definitely let me know, and thanks for watching.